Hi everyone, Hervin here, and in this video I'm going to walk you through how we use ClickUp inside our company to organize our work. This is going to be a beginner tutorial, and the reason why I wanted to create this video is because when I first started learning how to use ClickUp, I saw so many videos that made learning ClickUp very complicated. And I thought to myself, if I ever make a video about how to use ClickUp, it's going to be super easy, straightforward, easy to follow. And so, yeah, I wanted to create this video to help you save some time, help you understand how to use ClickUp easily without having to be some sort of project management wizard, which I definitely wasn't when I first started. But every video that I watched used like this project management jargon that I wasn't familiar with. So anyway, I wanted to create something that was simple. This is going to be a beginner tutorial. And what I am going to teach you is based off of the experience that I have using it inside our company. We run a social media marketing agency, but what I am going to teach you in this video, I think broadly applies, the concepts that I'm going to teach you at least broadly apply to any kind of work, even if you use ClickUp personally for your personal life or for your projects, for your company. I think it'll apply to everything here. At least it's a beginner tutorial that's going to get you up and running super easily if this is your first time ever using ClickUp and you have no experience using project management tools like ClickUp. Okay, so with that said, let's dive right in. I'm inside my ClickUp account right here, and I am going to walk you through this. Now, let me just show you here, I've created a game plan for this video. These are the notes that I took to make sure that I cover everything that I wanted to cover and to make sure that I created a tutorial that was, thorough and easy to follow. So I don't think it's going to be the shortest tutorial, but I'm going to try and be thorough and easy to follow, okay? So with that said, okay, let's talk about first, before we even dive into ClickUp, let's talk about work for a second. And the same would apply for personal projects, but for now, I'm going to stick to kind of just like if you were using this professionally for your work. So when you think of work, here's how work happens. So you have people like yourself or your team, and each of those people have tasks, and those tasks could be one-offs or recurring tasks, right? So you think of like, let's say, write an email every day. That could be a recurring task, or just write an email to this person and that was a one-time thing. That's just like a one-off task. Okay, so you have these tasks that people do every day to complete their work, and then each of those tasks have due dates. So you want the work to be completed by a certain date, and then on top of that, okay, so you have tasks, each of those tasks have due dates. When you combine a group of tasks, maybe then you have a project. Not necessarily, but think of a project as a group of tasks. This is important for me to say because I am going to translate all of this into ClickUp in a little bit, so just kind of stick with me. Okay, so tasks, I want to say that they are different than projects, right? And then you have departments. So people specialize, so a group of people specializing in a certain function of the business, we call that a department. All right, so these are things to note with what I am going to explain here in this video. All right, so now let's talk about ClickUp for a second. So I am going to cover what's called the ClickUp hierarchy. So the way ClickUp organizes information, you can see here there's a hierarchy, and I am going to break down this hierarchy right here. So what I mean by hierarchy is how information is saved in ClickUp. So think of an office back in the day where like an office that didn't have any technology, right? So how did information get stored back then? So it was, and I say back then as if it were like the Stone Age, but if they didn't have any computers, how did information get stored? And it was in filing cabinets, right? So think of your entire ClickUp account as a gigantic filing cabinet. All right, so you have the filing cabinet. Inside a filing cabinet, you divide information at first by drawers, right? And so inside ClickUp, you can think of drawers as spaces, or you can think of spaces as drawers. So you have here the spaces, and don't worry, don't get lost in like the details of things. Just kind of, because I know when you start looking at the details of things, you're gonna start getting lost. Everything will make sense. Just kind of follow me from a big picture perspective for now. So just think of spaces, each of these spaces as drawers. So now inside a drawer, you have folders, and inside those folders, you have paper, right? Like paper that says like, do this or do that. I don't know. So, but for now, that's kind of like what I'm the analogy I want you to follow. It isn't perfect, but it's going to work for now. So, okay, so I am going to create another drawer here, another space. So I am going to call it test space. This is a drawer, and this is going to be, I'm going to make it private so that my team doesn't see this and wonders what I'm up to. So I am going to click continue, and then you just click continue to create the space, and boom, now I have a space here, the test space. This is the drawer. Okay, and so you could click this arrow right here that I am clicking, and it'll bring information down. Okay, so you can see here there's a list. So inside a drawer, you have folders. Now, right here, they're called lists, but you could think lists as folder. Okay, so I am actually going to rename this for now. Let me rename this as folder so that it makes a little bit just like more sense with the analogy, right? So you have a space. Inside the drawer, you have a folder, and inside the folder, you have paper, right? So you have these papers that let you know what to do. And so imagine a piece of paper that says, write an email tomorrow for this person. So you store that in a folder. Every day you go into this folder, you check the papers, and the papers tell you what your work is about. Something like that, right? So just kind of just follow along with the analogy here. All right, so we have the drawer, then we have the folder, then we have the paper, and that's kind of the way information is stored here in ClickUp. Okay, so in ClickUp, you call the drawers, you call them spaces. The folders, you call those lists, and then the tasks, which are everything here that says paper. So I'm gonna say task 1, task 2, task 3. So these are tasks that you see here. And the purpose of ClickUp, the simplest thing ClickUp could do is just have a list of tasks that you could say, like, let's just say, for example, I'm going to delete these that say paper second because it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to delete them here. All right. So let's just say these 3 tasks, task 1, 2, 3. Let's just say I completed task 1 and I say, okay, I'm done with task 1. You see here how this is to do. So this is the status, and I'm going to mark this as complete. So if I check it off, boom, I click complete, and it's done. Now, let's say I'm working on task 2. I click on the status, I change it to in progress, and now I have it there. Bam, it's in progress. I'm working on this. So I let my boss know this is what I'm working on, or at least for myself. I let myself know this is what I'm working on. Right? And again, that's the whole purpose of ClickUp. It's just you have a list of tasks, right? I'm going to make some more here because it's fun. Task 4, task 5, task 6, right? So you have these tasks and they're in progress, or they're to do, then you mark them in progress or you mark them complete. So let's just say now task 2 is done, and so then I just go over here to the status, boom, mark it complete, and it's done. Okay, so that's pretty simple. At its basic function, that's what ClickUp is about. It's just like you have tasks and then you check them off. Like, it's literally that simple. And then, if these tasks, let's just say these tasks, you have a list of tasks for a specific thing that you're doing, but then you go into your space. And let me go create here another folder and call it folder 2, right? So you could have, I'm going to call it folder 2, task 1, task 2 for another thing that you're doing. So then you could see right here under spaces, you have your drawer and it has 2 folders and each of them has its own set of tasks. This is where it gets it could get really complicated because you could have, let's just say in your business, you could have, instead of a folder, you could have a folder per person. Right? So you could say, these are Sally's tasks, these are Joe's tasks, and so on. And so you could separate them like that. So that would be one way of doing it. There are a million ways of doing things inside ClickUp. So I'm going to walk you through kind of, again, how we use it inside our company. Okay, so when it comes to organizing work, again, you have tasks and you have projects. I am going to be speaking about tasks specifically for now, and then we'll get into projects because it's a little bit more complicated. So when it comes to tasks, I am going to delete one of these folders here. When it comes to tasks, I'm going to I'm going to delete one folder here, and I am going to show you how we create tasks here inside our company. So let me actually backtrack and delete everything. So think of again of these. Let's backtrack and go to spaces here. So these are your drawers, right? So you're looking at the filing cabinet and you have your drawers. So the way you think of organizing these drawers, at least for us, is that we break them out by department. All right, so you could see here the drawers. You could see here marketing, client success, media buying, tech support, systems, operations. These are our departments in our company. And so that's how we break out information for us, is that we break it out by department. So let's just say this test space right here. For you, imagine this as being like your tech support people. Okay, so this is the tech support space right here. Now there's private information here inside my ClickUp account, which is why I'm not gonna share into every folder, but right here, let's just imagine instead of test space, I'm gonna rename this to test tech support drawer. Okay. And so when it comes to tasks, okay, so when it comes to doing like whether it's recurring or one-off, this department, so inside this department, there's people and those people have tasks. So I'm going to show you how you would delegate this information out. So this folder right here, instead of folder, I am going to call this actionable tasks. All right. So you could see here, you have the drawer, which is the tech support. So this is this department. And now you have the actionable task, which is a folder that contains all of the tasks that the tech support people are doing. And this could be either recurring or one-off. So this could be like check the accounts to make sure everything is running, email the client, fix the bug, whatever it is, right? So these are tasks and you can simply create them like that. Now let's just say now this task belongs to a certain team member. So I'm going to go here to assignees and I am going to give it to somebody. So let's just say I'm going to give them to myself. But like you can select here the people that you're going to assign this task to. So in this case, I'm just going to assign them to myself. And then you can give here these tasks due dates. Let me just see here what I've wrote. So you assign them, you give a due date. So let's just say I want them done by next Friday, right? Due date next Friday, due date next Friday. Now you also have priority. We don't use that so much in our company, but you can set the priority like, hey, this one is urgent, this one is normal. So you could do that, and this one is normal. All right, so when somebody sees their work, maybe they see the priority and they're like, okay, I'm gonna tackle this one first. All right, so again, at this point, all we're using ClickUp is for like a checklist. It's kind of like a more advanced checklist, but that's really all it is so far. It's just a place for you to have your tasks and check them off. Like that's really all it is. All right, now let's just say this task right here, check the accounts to make sure everything is running. I want to add a description here of this task and say like, this account has been down in the past 3 weeks or whatever it is, right? So I write here a description. So each of the tasks, so you can think of each task as kind of like a record that holds information about the task itself. So for example, if there's something here about, you can write this, check the accounts to make sure everything is running. And then you can give yourself more detail or give a team member more detail here about what the task is about. And so this will, again, just more context. That's another way to use ClickUp. And so, yes, that you have the task and then you give more information about it. If you say, if there was here like log in to this software before you do this. So or like, here's the username and password for this, or here's the logging into this software, or heads up, I checked this places and this is what I found. Like whatever it is, you can write information about it here in the description. Okay, so that is how you keep work right here. And then like you could also, a task could also have subtasks, right? So now you think of now the analogy breaks down a little bit, but it's the same thing. So imagine like a folder, and inside the folder you have another folder, and then inside the folder you have different papers. So now you have a folder within a folder, yeah, kind of something like that. So now you have a task within a task, and you could say, check the accounts to make sure everything is running, turn everything on if bug is fixed, whatever it is, right? So you could have a task. So let me close out of this a second. You could see here, this task has a task underneath it, and like that could go not on an endless loop, but in ClickUp you could have a task within a task within a task within it, and it could go for a while. Now normally for us, this is not a hard rule, but we try and stick to like 2 levels deep like this, like maybe a task and a subtask. Although that breaks when you start doing projects because that's bigger, but I'll dive into that later. But yeah, so for now, a task, a subtask, that's how you could think about it. This is, again, you could say do this one first, so you check this off and then you complete this. Or it could be, you can write a task like write email, and then inside the email, you could say write subject line, write body, write closing statement, write follow-up, whatever it is, right? And so you could have one task, but it has many steps that you need to complete. So again, that's how you think of this. And each of them can have its own assignee. Even different people can have, and you can set due dates. So you want to get in the habit of always, assigning somebody the task and also giving them a due date. All right, so that is how you delegate work. So if you have a team member that you would like to delegate work to, you create the task, then you assign them to it, then you assign a due date, and that's pretty much it. Once you do that, once you delegate the task, by the way, anytime they log into ClickUp and they click home, they are going to be able to see their tasks right here. So right where it says today, let me go back to this space a second so I can show you. So I'm changing the due date from Friday to today. Okay, so you can see here that I changed it to today. If I go back home right here and I click and under today, I see this check accounts to make sure everything is running. That is the one that I assigned myself today. This is, you could see here, it's under actionable task, under tech support drawer, tech support drawer. Okay, so you could see like when people log in, they could always check their home to see what work has been assigned to them. So anytime you give somebody, you delegate anything to somebody, they're going to be able to see it here in their home. All right, so again, let's backtrack a second. So what you've learned so far is that ClickUp is really right now, up until just like what I've described, is really just a checklist that you can assign people to and check your work off. And at its core, that's really all it is. It's just a way for you to create tasks and check them off. All right, so now let's go into organizing projects. So this is where things are a little bit more complicated. Because think of projects like this, right? So in your company, you have a lot of different ideas, or you may have a lot of different ideas for what you want to get done, right? So you have ideas, and it could be by department. It could be, I want to improve my product. I want to improve my sales, improve my marketing. And here are the ideas that I have that I think we could implement to fix these problems. And so eventually those ideas get turned into projects. Like, I think we need to launch a new marketing initiative. So if you need to launch a new marketing initiative, that could be a very big project. That could mean like creating new landing pages for your website that then lead people to a form that then when you capture the information, it's going to send them emails. And then you got to you got to create the pages. You got to collaborate with different people. You have to create the email copy. And so there are multiple people involved. And so anyway, this could now get a little bit more complicated. So anyway, let's go back, because this is where a lot of people make it super complicated. And I want to simplify this here for you. Okay, so when it comes to tracking projects, which is really what project management is, I want to explain it like kind of at its core what it is. So at its core, it's kind of like this, like you have an idea, and that idea, you store it somewhere. Okay, so you have this idea and you store it somewhere so you don't forget it. So you have this list or this place where you store ideas. And then these ideas, at some point you're like, okay, these ideas we need to do first, these ideas come next. So you need to prioritize them in some way. And then from there, once you are ready, then you take the priority ones and then you move them to somewhere where you're like, I'm ready to work on these. Let's scope out this project. What do we need to do for this new marketing initiative? And then, okay, so we need to write a project document, and then we need to say, this is what's required. We need to create new landing pages. We need to create new marketing hooks. We need to create new email campaigns and so on. So anyway, you get the point. So you start to develop the project. And now you delegate those tasks to specific people, and now those people say like, okay, these things are in progress, and they work on them, and eventually it gets done. And now you have this asset. So you could have assets like landing pages. You could have anything that you can store could be an asset. So this process that you walked your project initially from an idea to all the way until it's finished, that process, think about it as an assembly line, right? So I drew here something for you a while ago, and you can think of an assembly line that makes chairs going through this same process. So an assembly line that makes chairs works in this way, right? So they receive the raw materials. So this is wood, iron, steel, whatever it is the chairs are made of, right? So they have these raw materials. Now they're going to put those raw materials in a warehouse, and they're going to sort of categorize them. Okay, so the wood goes over here, the steel goes over here, the iron goes over here, and then they're going to label it, right? So this is wood, this is iron, blah, 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 right? So you think of it this way. Now, from here, they're going to prioritize depending on the kind of chairs that they're making. We're going to use this kind of wood for these chairs that we're going to use. And so they prioritize whatever it is, the chairs that they're going to make. And then from there, they take the raw materials and they start to put them into the assembly line. And that is like, okay, so now these chairs are in progress, and they work on them, and then from here, they go into something called quality assurance, quality control, QC. So somebody inspects them and says, this chair is no good, or this chair is good, and then if it's no good, they send it back, and then if it's good, like they send it forward, and it's done, all right? So now you have a chair that's done, and so now you have, let's just say you have these kind of chairs that are modern looking, these kind of chairs that are kind of antique, these kind of chairs that are minimalistic, whatever it might be. And then you store them, and you put the minimalistic chairs over there. You put the modern chairs over there. Forget what I said. But anyway, you store them and you categorize them and so on. And now you have a place where you have your quote unquote assets, the things that you completed, the final goods. Right? So this process right here it's the same thing that we go through with projects. So your raw materials are your ideas. So you have an idea for this thing that we can do. And then from there, you take that and you take those ideas and you store them somewhere so you don't forget them, and you organize them and you label them and you say, okay, these are ideas for marketing. These are ideas for HR. These are ideas for operations. And you kind of organize them in that way. And then you prioritize. Okay, so for marketing, this is the most important thing right now. We need to switch these landing pages out, and we need to come up with something new. Boom. So that's our highest priority. So you prioritize what you're going to do. And then from there, you choose the projects that you're going to work on. And then it's a little bit more complicated than this, because you have to kind of say like exactly what you're going to work on. So say, for example, you're going to write a landing page. That might mean that you need a copywriter who writes the copy. That might mean that you need a graphic designer who creates the structure of the page and also makes sure that it looks nice. And then you have a website developer who takes what the graphic designer and the copywriter did, and they actually bring this live to a content hosting platform like WordPress or something like that. Anyway, the point being is that you have people collaborating on this project. So you need to write down what each of those people are going to be doing. What are the tasks that they're going to be doing, right? So we're going back to this idea of tasks. So this is where a project essentially starts with an idea, which is kind of like a big marketing initiative to fix our conversion rate for this marketing funnel. And that turns into the copywriter needs to write copy for this, and he needs to write and the copywriter needs to write the email marketing campaigns for this, and they need to write 3 subject lines for this. And so those are tasks. So you eventually take this kind of like complex idea and break it down into the smallest chunks, which are tasks. And then they go every day, and then they say, these are the ideas that these are the tasks that I am currently working on, in progress. And then when they're done working on them, they pass them up to the next person, maybe their supervisor, their boss, or whoever it might be. And they're like, hey, can you verify this for me to make sure that I didn't miss anything, or to make sure that it aligns with the vision? And then they check on it, and they're like, this is good, this is not good. If this is not good, then they rework it. If it's good, now it's done, and now we have something there. Okay, so this is the process. Now let's take this process into ClickUp. And so into ClickUp, you need to have, so for example, when you have the raw materials, which are your ideas, you need to have a place for your ideas. Now, your ideas is super simple. First, I'll create here what I mean. So you can have we have them inside operations. I'm going to open this folder up, and you can see here that we have ideas and issues. So these ideas right here, these ideas and issues, that is a folder where we put all of our ideas. So because I have this test one, I'm going to create one right here. So I am going to call this, and I could put an emoji here just to make it look nice. So ideas. Okay, so you have here your ideas. And so fix the marketing conversion by creating a new lead magnet. Because these are marketing ideas, right? You can write all your ideas here. So like write an email campaign for client Y or whatever it might be. Okay, so you get the point. You write your ideas down here. You can assign them to people. You can or don't have to give them a due date if it's just kind of you're just brainstorming and adding them here. And then you can eventually every quarter, every month, just like prioritize them here and just say this is an urgent one. All right, so that's this part of the process where you're storing these ideas into the ideas list. Actually, there's more to this, but I don't want to make this too complicated. Essentially, you can add here, say, for example, you can add labels, which are tags. So you can say these ideas are specific to marketing, and these ideas are specific to sales, or these ideas are specific to operations. So you can, inside this list, you can have ideas that are different, that are of all departments. And then you could simply label them in a certain ways, which are tags. And then you could say, these are marketing, these are whatever. And just instead of having a list for every department, you could have one gigantic list. And so for us, it's under operations. That's where we have all of our ideas. And anytime you have an idea, you just go in there, log it. And then you can, inside the description, you can write more. You can write more details about your idea and explain what you mean, right? So that is it. And then from there, once you have the idea and it is in progress, so we have something. So let's just say we're ready to take this idea and work with it, like create an email marketing campaign. So if we're ready to work on that idea, so we're gonna move it into a project, into a folder called the waterfall. And what this is where we delegate the tasks for each individual team member who's responsible for completing the task inside the project. So let's say this is a project, right? This is again where it gets a little bit complicated, but if I go into spaces, so now I have the actionable tasks, the ideas, and then I am going to have here another one called the waterfall. And so when I'm ready, let's just say I'm in the ideas space. When I am ready and I want to say write an email campaign for client, or I'm gonna say here create landing page for X event. So I am going to, for now, let's imagine that there's a lot of people here. So let's just say this one was urgent. All right, so now I need to get this project done. My team and I decided this is the one that we were going to work on this quarter. So I select this one and I am going to move this into the waterfall. So you can see here, I just moved it into the waterfall. And now from here, You could see it here under the waterfall. This is, again, now we're getting a little bit more complicated, but let me just zoom out and show you what I did. So I took a paper from this folder and I moved it into another folder. That's all I did. I just like moved information from one folder to the other. That's pretty much all it is. And then from there, over here, so create landing page. Landing page has write copy, and create the page design, get developer, post the page on Wix, and then send an email to promote the page. So let's just say it like that, right? So you could think of like this task has subtask underneath. And then, for example, the write the copy, this has write headline, write body, write guarantee copy, whatever it is. Okay, so you could see here that this main task has a subtask and that has a subtask. So it's kind of like a waterfall that starts out, it just kind of goes like task, subtask, 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 kind of like that. And then these can be assigned to specific people with given a due date. So, and then you have your project here. So this is project 1, and then you say hire new team member. And this one, you say write job posting, create assessment, create advertisement on LinkedIn, right? So, and each of these like have different people. And so this is project 1, and you would assign, somebody would own the entire project, and then people would own individually each of the tasks, and they would each have their own due date. And then this would be project number 2. That's how we keep track of projects inside our company, is through it's exactly this. You can see here under operations that we have the waterfall. You can see it right there. And then when you're done, so let's just say you created a landing page or something, or you created, let's imagine here there was a project, say, write SOPs for how to create a hiring ad. Okay, and that was the project. Eventually, at the end of the project, you'd end up with an SOP, right? Or over here, you'd end up with a landing page. Over here, you'd end up with some like the onboarding document. So you could write right here, right? Onboarding document. And so the onboarding document would be an asset. The SOP would be an asset. And so you need a place that's, again, going back to this. So once you're done, you end up with an SOP, you end up with a video tutorial, you end up with a landing page, you end up with a document, you end up with a whatever it is, right? So you end up with something that you now have that's valuable to the business, and you need a place to store them. And so every one of our spaces, you could see right here under marketing, we have a storage folder. Over here under client success, we have a storage folder. Over here under tech support, we have a storage folder. So storage is simply where you're going to put in the thing that so once you have something final and so let's say you created a video tutorial for how to use a certain part of your app that your team members need to know. So then, and we have this for every space, for every drawer inside ClickUp. So right here where I go test tech support drawer, so I'm going to click new list and I am going to name it storage. And right here is where we're going to save all the information. So you could say, for example, here in the SOP, landing page for event. And then over here, you would put the URL, right? So let's just say that was it. Boom. And so now you have now, let's see here if I can make this hyperlink. Okay. So right here, now I have stored, let's just say I created a landing page for this event. I click here, boom, the landing page is there. I open it, boom, and it takes you to the landing page. Or let's just say SOP for how to create an ad. And then you open that up and you have in here a document that walks you through this SOP, a Google Doc, a ClickUp doc, a flowchart, whatever it might be. So you could just have there. So eventually you store video tutorial for how to do X, Y, and Z. So over here, you now have a list of things. So now your team member or you can go, if they don't know how to do something, they can go into the storage and they can find the SOPs, they can find the links to things, they can find the things that it's kind of like having a toolbox for that specific department. And then anytime they need something, they go to the toolbox and find what they want. So it's kind of like that. All right. So that is how we organize projects and how we organize assets. I walk through how we organize ideas. And then when it comes to, with ideas, by the way, with tasks, I mentioned this already. I'm not sure if it was clear. So all of these could be one-off, but if you click on the due date, you could set a recurring due date if you have daily tasks that you need to do. So hopefully that helps there. Now let's go something a little bit more advanced. So if you have a team of people that are using ClickUp, here's something that you might want, like, let's just say you have people that are in ClickUp. So I could just type in here a comment and say, hi, Hervin, can you please check this, right? And I can add here a comment. So you can see here, if I add the @ sign, it's going to open up the list of team members for me. And I can tag people in here and let them know, like, hey, can you check this tag, so that when they open up ClickUp, they go over here to their inbox and they could see over here everywhere that they've been tagged. So you could see here where the team for me has been tagging me. And the last thing I want to mention is how to use ClickUp as a CRM. So this is a little bit more of an advanced use case, which is how do you use ClickUp to keep track of your client relationships. And what you want to do here, so let me go back to the test space right here. So let's just say you have a folder called CRM, and over here you have client 1, client 2, client 3, right? And over here in the let's just say you talk to the client and the client told you something like, hey, I want to do this, this, and this. You can write a comment about it. Client wanted to do X, Y, Z. And so now you have that there. And this comment, so I met with client today and they were happy. So you could stack comments right here. You could also add information about the client in the description. So you could say client's website and then blah, blah, blah. And then you can write information here about the client, or you can create here custom fields. I'm not going to go into this because this is super, now we're getting advanced. I wanted to make this straightforward. But yeah, so you could essentially use ClickUp as a CRM. This is how we do it in our company. It's just we have our clients here saved as tasks. And then, yeah, so this is a way for us to know who we need to talk to, what they want, information about them, and so on. So yeah, so you could do that inside ClickUp. Anyway, this is long already. I hope this has been thorough. I hope this has been helpful. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, leave this video a thumbs up. Again, leave me a comment if you have any questions. I hope, again, this has been helpful. There are a lot of video tutorials out there when it comes to how to use ClickUp, a lot more advanced than this one. This one is just one to help you get started with ClickUp, help you understand how it works, help you understand kind of like the philosophy behind how we use these systems, and hopefully it helps you stay more organized. We love using ClickUp inside our company. It's been a game changer tool for us since the moment we implemented. It helps us collaborate with our team members together to delegate efficiently. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. It's really awesome. If you want to support this channel, there's going to be a link to our affiliate link to ClickUp if you're not using ClickUp yet. So if you want to support us, it doesn't cost you anything, but it gives us a little bit of a commission for you joining ClickUp if you end up using them. Once again, I hope this has been helpful, and now I feel confident that if you went through this, you now could go into any other tutorial and it'll be so much easier for you to understand what they're talking about now that you've had this kind of foundational training. Okay, with that said, stay organized. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you next time.